couple of properties in Panama and decided to share my personal findings, observations, and experience buying real estate in Panama. I made a little bit presentation, a few slides, very high level, to give you folks an idea of how it is and how different it is in Panama compared to North America. By North America, I mean Canada and the US. I do not know what's happening in Mexico. So, this is for the year 2022. If you're looking at it in the future, things may have changed, but that's for 2022. Okay, so what we'll cover in this little video is searching for real estate, choosing real estate agency, looking at real estate by looking, I mean viewing, booking the properties and looking at them, making an offer, closing the deal, making payments for the deal, taking title and possession of the property, and the timelines of all of the above. So let's get things started. Searching for real estate. There's no one single place for real estate listings. So unlike there is a realtor.com or realtor.ca for US and Canada or MLS listings, it's all over the place. There is a little bit on Craigslist, there's a little bit on the street, the signage, the popular sites that are kind of aggregators where people go to list their properties and find them is Encuentra24.com. There's a version for Panama as well. When you go to the website, you will choose Panama and do the and see the listings there, and MLSarcabir.com. So these two are popular in addition to the individual real estate agencies' websites that we'll talk about in a moment. Now, the problem with this is it's very unregulated in terms of listings and such, and because the owners themselves or their friend or their mother-in-law can list a property there, most listings are not professionally done. And you'll see it in the presentation. The pictures are outdated. The information could be incorrect. The listings could have been sold or rented out, and they're still showing there. So when you try to reach out to those people who listed the properties, you will get no response, and that could be maddening because out of 10 properties, maybe 2 or 3 will be live and relevant. And most listings are never updated. That's what I just talked about. Now, choosing real estate agency. My suggestion is to choose a real estate agency instead of, choosing a real estate agent compared to going it alone, especially if you're doing it for the first time, because there are a lot of undercurrents and different laws and regulations for each country. So Panama is no different, and it is different compared to the processes set up in Canada and the States. So when looking for real estate agency, and they stress the importance of agency, not just an individual agent, because there are lots of wannabe real estate people in Panama that are not actually real estate agents. So they don't have any licensing, they do it part-time in addition to their work. They know somebody who knows somebody, a friend of a friend, and they want to sell their property and they pretend to be a real estate agent. So avoid those. Go for a fully fledged agency that have multiple real estate agents working for it, not an individual realtor who may or may not be licensed. Check their real estate license and credentials, of course. So North American real estate agency franchises like Remax and such, they are not popular or plainly do not exist in Panama. So those familiar names that you come across the US and Canada will not be found in Panama. The popular ones in Panama are Panama Equity, Casa Solutions, Insight Panama, Real Estate, KW Panama, PGS Realty, amongst others. So this is just a few examples. I don't have a preference over one over another. Do your own research, see how big and popular they are, check the licenses, check how many agents they have, ask how many deals they closed that particular month to get an idea if they're worth your consideration. But avoid dealing with individual agencies. I mean, they will assign you an individual agent, but you'll be dealing with the firm. So they have standards at least. Moving on, looking at real estate. Okay, let your agent do the booking for a visit. There is a reason for that, because if you do the booking yourself, first of all, it's maddening because the majority of the properties don't exist or outdated, and people are slow to get back to you. And the majority of the people do not speak any English. So if you write them in English, they'll just ignore it, or because they don't understand what you wrote them, in addition to all of the above. And moreover, if you work with an agent and book the meeting yourself, the seller's agent will claim the deal for himself or for herself, and your real estate agent will be left out high and dry. He won't be in on the commission, so he will be mad at you and will not want to work with you anymore, because you are pretty much bypassing their process, jumping off their head, and eat up their living, their lunch. They wouldn't like it. So let the agent do that. Since most listings are outdated, properties you identified online, so you may browse on Encuentra on the website or on MLS site and find the properties that you want to visit, and maybe out of all of them, out of 10, maybe 1, 2, 3 will be available to be visited. That's maddening because a lot of them are outdated, could be sold. People are not resellers, or their agents are not responding to requests. They don't want to work with other agents, and many other reasons. So be flexible with what you want to visit. Have a larger pool of properties you want to visit, and leave it to the real estate agents at times to show you the properties that you may not have been considering. Even they may not be listed on the public websites. Sellers are slow to show their properties, so book a week in advance. Just people don't respond, they're busy. So generally, people are not in a rush to sell unless it is an emergency situation for the seller. They are very slow to show their properties. They will not accommodate your schedule because they're working or they're out of town, with a family, or there is a Sabbath, a bunch of excuses. So don't expect stage properties as well, because properties in Panama are sold for years and years. In terms of one listing, could be listed for sale for a year, 2, 4 years at times, especially in slow times during COVID. So don't expect stage property. People could be living there, could be stuff thrown around, there could be tenants in there, there could be renovations in progress, moldy and water damaged walls and ceilings. So don't expect a pre-wrapped candy ready for sale like it is for stage properties where there are, weekend open door open house. Nothing like that. The properties sit there for years a lot of times, and a lot of them are in dire shape inside, especially because of COVID situation. Just everything was put on pause. Hopefully that changes in the near future. So making an offer. So once you select a property you want to buy, tell your real estate agent to make an offer. Some agents make a verbal offer, an informal one, and others make a more formal written offer. There's no difference between the two. A written offer probably conveys more of a willingness to buy. Neither of those, verbal or written offers, are legally binding. That's the big deviation from North America, where you make an offer and it is binding and it's hard to back out. This one is not legally binding. What it is a start of conversation. So you say, I want to buy your property for 500, and then the seller may say, 550, and then you say, 510, 515, 520, and you meet in the middle. So usually the seller and buyer go back and forth 2 or 3 times before the price is agreed upon. It is not uncommon for the properties to be sold in this market, at least the COVID market, at a 10-15 discount, so below asking price. So there is no multiple offers for the majority of the properties, at least. They are sold the secondary market at the 10-15 discount. The new construction, the new builds, can be had at 1 to 3% discount. And then acceptance of the offer again is not binding. So after you agree on the price, what it does, it triggers the preparation of the sale contract. So when the sale contract is signed later, that is binding, but the negotiation and the pricing offer is not. So closing the deal. So after offer is accepted, meaning the seller says okay, the price agreed upon, the seller's lawyers drafts the contract. So they draft the contract, the conditions, the timing, the price is put in there, what's sold exactly, like with furniture, without furniture, the description of the property, the price, the timing for the closing, all put in that contract by the seller's lawyer. And at this point, it's time to choose your own lawyer. There are no real estate specific lawyers in Panama. Most lawyers can draft contracts and dabble in real estate deals. So just ask your lawyer if he is doing real estate deals. Most of the time the answer will be yes, and use them. There are some lawyers that do more real estate deals, others less. So shop around for 2, 3, 5 lawyers, and whichever makes you feel cozy, warm, and comfortable, deal with those. Closing costs, all in, including legal fees, and notary and etc., could be between $2,000 and $3,000 per property. And they're borne by the buyer. I mean, the seller pays his own lawyer, of course, but the buyer's burden will be around 2 or 3 grand. All in. Sale contract will list conditions. What's in the sale contract? It will list conditions of the sale, what's sold exactly, with furniture, without furniture, by whom, to whom, so who's the seller, who's the buyer. It is not uncommon to say that the property is in a company's name, and sometimes the company is sold instead of the property, which is common practice. It's good for 2 reasons: to buy shares in a company, or the company itself, to transfer of ownership, is because when the company is bought and the property with it, the owner of the property is secret. And it's good for the taxes as well. So if somebody goes after you in your country of origin due to taxation situation, business dealings, court proceedings, divorces, etc., you'll be protected because nobody knows you have this property, because you don't. The company does. And there is good corporate secrecy laws in Panama for that matter. But a lot of deals are just person to person as well. It's no problem. So don't be surprised if the company is sold or the property is owned by the company, which is very widely used in Panama. So then, the price is mentioned in the sale contract, when the payments are to be made, what liens on the property, if the seller has a mortgage, etc. So the contract is signed then at the notary in person. Your lawyer will arrange the meeting. The fingerprints are required, so that's a funny part. So in addition to your name, signature, you must put your fingerprint on it. Literally put it in ink on an ink pad and imprint your fingerprint next to your signature. That's an additional layer of protection. Making payments. Okay, so that's the important part. Upon signing the contract at the notary's office, buyer and seller have 45 to 90 days to complete the deal, depending on whether buyer needs to involve a bank for the mortgage or not. So if you are having a mortgage, which is unlikely, then it takes more time, so 90 days, but usually it's 45 to 60 days without mortgage involved on the buyer's part. On day one rather of signing of the contract, you must pay the seller either by local Panamanian bank money transfer or by handing a Panamanian check for the usual 10% of the purchase price. Now, it's very important. So seller will use that money to pay property taxes and bring HOA, maintenance payments, and utilities up to date before the sale. If you fail to pay the 10% down on day one, or whatever that could be agreed, it could be 15, could be 20% down, but the minimum and the usual is 10. The contract is considered to be technically in default, so you're breaching the contract. Now, that's an important part, because if you don't have the funds on day one when you are in the notary office, the seller or their lawyer will scream and shout and be very mad and threaten you the action or the default of the contract. And a lot of foreign buyers do not know this because they have the funds sitting in their US or Canadian account and they thought, oh, I'm going to do the wire transfer. So there are complications for large transfers of the wire. You have to be present in the bank branch. It's not done easily online for the large amounts, and there are complications. Plus, it takes 5 to 7 days to affect that for the money to arrive. So have your money in a Panamanian bank ready to go by the time you are going to the notary. Otherwise, you'll be in default. So international money transfers take forever to do, 5-7 days. There are complications. You may be required to be personally present in the US or Canada for the transfer, and you'll be not there because you'll be at the notary's office physically. So get that prepared, transfer the money ahead of time in your Panamanian bank account so it sits there and waits for you to be transferred to the seller. So after the 10% down, the rest of the payment is arranged. Escrow is not popular in Panama, so a bank letter, a letter of credit is used, LC. Your Panamanian bank will hold the money and issue a letter of credit and will release the funds upon seller satisfying the requirements stipulated in the sale contract. The cost of the letter of credit is 10 to 20 bucks. So it's inexpensive. The lawyer can help you with getting the letter of credit, but you must go to the bank, spend a couple of hours there for them to draft that letter of credit. You bring your sales contract with you so that they put the conditions in the letter of contract. So it is a process. It takes time. So you book half a day just to do the letter of credit. And then it takes the bank a few days to issue it. It's not issued the same day as you requested. Okay, taking title and possession. So upon satisfaction of all conditions in the contract by the buyer and seller, the documents are sent by your lawyer to the public registry, and the public registry takes about 1 week to a month, depending how busy they are and depending if you want to pay the fees to expedite this, to register property in your name. And once your name appears in the public registry, which can be checked online, the property is officially yours. Regardless if you have the paper title or not. Paper title could be burned, thrown away, forgotten, never had. The paper title is not important. But what is, if it appears on the online registry, boom, you are the owner officially. And upon the public registration completion, you can take possession of the keys of the property, and normally the lawyer again takes care of that part for you. Timelines, the last part. So viewing properties, you can realistically expect to see 5-6 properties in the same area in a day maximum. Anything more than that is not impossible, but damaging to your brain because you have to memorize what the difference is between them. Few people want to show on the weekends, especially on Saturdays, which is Sabbath, and a lot of properties are owned by the Jewish families, so it's important to know. It could take you months before you find what you're looking for, so budget in your stay for that reason. Making offer and price negotiations 1-2 weeks to infinity. I've seen sellers disappear a few times on me and stop communicating after a couple of back and forth on the price. They could be not in a rush to sell. They may think that in a few months to a year the price will go up. Since they had the property for a few years already for sale, they're not in a rush to sell necessarily. So it's important to find a motivated seller. Otherwise, you'll go nowhere in negotiations, so it'll take forever. So because the offers are not binding, you can make offers on multiple properties at the same time. Drafting of a sale contract takes about 1-2 weeks, depending on the lawyer, and if you agree on everything that's written in the sale contract, it's pretty much standard, so 1-2 weeks is good. But if you're picky about what piece of furniture you like, or some appliance that you want to stay, or something specific, then these negotiations and lawyers can go for more than 1-2 weeks. But standard, but within 1-2 weeks is good. Signing of the contract at the notary takes about 1-2 weeks, depending on yours, sellers, and notary schedule. Execution of the contract, as I mentioned before, 45-90 days, depending whether you need a mortgage or not. So normally it's 45-60 days. 10% down payment, could be more, 15, 20, but normal is 10. It's due, very important, immediate upon signing the contract in the notary office. You must transfer the fees on the same day, or issue a check from Panamanian bank to Panamanian bank, because so wire transfer takes 5-7 days. There are problems sending large monies. You need to be present at the branch in the US or Canada to do that. So have your money ready with you upon signing. Letter of credit from your Panamanian bank takes 4 to 10 days for the bank to do. So book half a day. It'll take a couple of hours literally to sit in front of the clerk in the bank for them to draft the letter. Then they send it to the letter of credit department, which, without you being present there, take 4 to 10 days to issue it, depending on how busy they are and your bank as well. And the title registration itself takes 1 week to a month. You can expedite it by paying more, but it's within 1 week if you expedite it. Other than that, it's a month. The having on the title on paper is not important, because as long as your name appears in the registry online, you should be golden, should be good. So the paper doesn't matter as long as the registry states your name. And that's it.